povera mia cena fu interrotta. Così accasciata, via, mia bella signora, sedete qui, volete che cerchiamo insieme il modo di salvarlo, e allor sedete e faveliamo.
Quanto?
Quanto?
Il prezzo.
Già mi dicon penal, ma a donna bella non mi vendo, a prezzo di moneta. No, no. Se la giurata fede debbo tradir, ne voglio altra mercede, ne voglio altra mercede, quest'ora io l'attendevo. Già mi struggeva l'amor della diva, ma poc'anzi dimmi vai, qual non ti vidi mai. Quel tuo pianto era nova ai sensi miei, e il tuo sguardo che io ti ho in me dardeggiava, mie brame inferociva. Addio
All right, hello. Hello and welcome. Welcome to Mr. Opera. Fix my hair a little bit. Let's turn these down a little bit. Put their back. Oh, what's going on? Second, guys.
Segno il Mario tuo mi resta. Odi il tamburo s'avvia, guida la scorta ultima ai condannati. Il tempo passa, sai quale oscura opera da giù si compia. Là si drizzo il patibolo.
I have no idea why, now, why, something is just always breaking with this thing. It just never ends. Just never ending. Something's always breaking. But now, for some reason, it just quit responding to, when I try to turn down the background music. There's like no rhyme or reason to it. Things just stop working. Oh, well, let's, oh, I see what's going on. Okay, guys. No, I understand. I'm kind of the crazy one. So, I kind of upgraded things. See, now I got the background music working with this dial. Welcome to Mr. Opera. We're going to do some watching videos and stuff today, so don't worry. But, I upgraded things a bit now so that I can switch from using my keyboard that's like, so I'm sitting at a desk, my usual desk that I use for studying and stuff. And there's a keyboard that pulls out with 61 keys. And it's like on a tray, and it rolls out, and whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, sorry. It was supposed to be put away. It's usually put away, but I just accidentally, I hit a key with my finger there. But as you can see, it's a little bit sensitive, and like if I play any notes, then
like weird things can start happening. And
yeah.
So I really gotta be careful.
But I wanted it so that I could switch to, from this silliness and doing all this and switching my scenes and stuff to just playing pitches when I need a pitch. But it's ridiculously complicated to get this to work, where it switches from taking the keyboard and sending that to OBS, taking the keyboard commands and sending it to OBS, and then as opposed to sending it to a program that acts as the thing that makes the notes that we hear. So it's just ridiculous. So now the problem is, if I start the other application, even though I figured out how to make a program to switch, so I can switch from one to the other as far as which one is getting the MIDI keyboard. Now, as long as I have this application running, then all of my dials and stuff stop working the way they usually would, like right off the case. Anyway, it's complicated, but anyway. So today's different because we're gonna look at one piece of music, one section from Verdi's Otello, and we're gonna listen to different people singing and playing this section of an opera. And this section is on my mind because I was just singing it with someone who I love very much, and we were having a great time singing it. It's not going to end in the same way, though. And so I've been thinking about this music a lot. So let's take a look at it. But instead of just looking at video, I've also got the score. So we should be able to, let's see. No, let's where's my score? Oh, jeez. See what happens if I try this. No. Daggone it. Oh, that broke it. Jeez. Are you serious? Totally broke it. Oh, there's the score. Okay. Don't go away, score. So we've got the score, and since I've got it in my application that lets me write on stuff and everything, we can be all scholarly and all, we can be good students and everything, and we can highlight things, and we can mark it up as we want to. So, if you're following along in the live stream on Mr. Opera or on This is Opera, welcome. We're going to be taking a look at Verdi's Otello, and there's a live chat. So any any questions you got or comments. We're looking at four different performances, and I guess we're gonna end with my favorite. So I don't know how we want to do this. Let's watch a bit of one of them, and I guess work from there. I guess we're gonna call this as well. We're gonna call this a new school singing thing. So that means I should do this music. Yeah. So, there we go. Music. Shall we watch a little bit of this before we pull up the score? And don't tell me my score's gone again. Okay, no, it's not. Okay. They've got this thing with, backstage cameras and everything. Yeah, screw that. So this is... Oh, can't hear anything. 1 second. Yeah, just fast forward. Okay. Sorry, guys. Oh, and I've got some background music, so... Oh, jeez. This is just not going smooth. Okay. Now we should be good. I'm going to turn this background music down even more just in case so there's no accidents. And while we're listening to music, actually, I'm going to have it off. Okay. You can watch this big. Just to get an idea of what we're doing today, it's this one. And here's Kaufman and, I don't know, some soprano. Sorry. It's, find the names here. Yoncheva. I don't really know the name. I don't know her work. Anyway. This is a duet from Verdi's Otello, and I guess to explain what's going on, Otello, who's played by the guy on the left there, has been away at war, and this is the same as the Shakespeare, and now he's back, and he's going to talk to his wife, and he's going to talk about his stress and everything from war. And yeah, and they have this very, very great relationship where she's kind of regulating his emotions and vice versa, and they're singing about it, and it's very nice. Kaufman is using his usual Kaufman things, but at this point in the duet, it doesn't make too much difference. And I guess I don't want to troll the This Is Opera people too hard, so we won't play too much Kaufman. They call him Kaufman. It's kind of funny. And I realize you don't like modern tenors. And anyway, my favorite tenor is coming later, and I'm sure you'll like my favorite tenor just fine, even though he doesn't actually do the best job in this particular video that we'll be watching. Okay, so onwards with this. Okay, so that was an interesting choice. Let's take a look at the score, which of course is over here. Yes. Now the thing, I guess we could say we should follow Garcia's rules for how notes connect one to the other, which is that if there's nothing indicated, legato. And legato would be like, well, I don't know. You can have debates about what's legato versus what's like a portamento or something, or what's when the line between legato, which means tying notes together, and glissando, which means sliding between notes, actually gets crossed. I would say that if you have Jai mio cor fremebondo, s'ammansa in questo amplesso e sirin. If you have sirin sensa, that you've done more than legato here. Right over. Let me get myself out of the way. Okay, so if we're in this section, so that's what we were looking at. That's what I'm talking about right there. Where I don't know what some of these other tenors we're going to be looking at are doing, but I wouldn't recommend this particular slide. It doesn't have a purpose. And then in general, downward slides to me give this kind of pop music feel. So let's hear it again. Paying attention to that, just to that combination of pitches and vowels and consonants, and see what I mean. I wouldn't, yeah. Did you hear it? I don't know. Hikmet, if you're listening, if you're still with us, and how do you feel about these things? I feel like it's a little bit pop, a little bit not very operatic, shall we say? I would do something like not Siri or any Siri. Just all of that is really, it's kind of not, I mean, it's not there. It's not written. It's another thing if you had a slur written, but I think not here. And yeah, Chancellor Christian, welcome. Yeah, I mean, that's half the point, but go for it. Go for the, yeah, absolutely taking questions. I'm trying something new here, which is actually analyzing a score live. Well, not analyzing a score. We're kind of doing a combination of this. We got videos and then we've got a score. Yeah. So, and Brady, yes, to answer, asking if I like Jonas. I don't know Jonas Kaufman, so seems like a pretty nice guy. But I don't know him. If you mean his singing, there's a lot of good things about his singing, so I can respect his singing, but it's not to my taste. No, if we're being absolutely honest. But he's a very successful performer, so in a sense, like, it's okay for me to say it's not to my taste, but then when I'm being a professional, it doesn't matter what's to my taste. And then if I'm being a professional and I'm thinking about Jonas Kaufman, then I'm only thinking about what does he have that I could try to copy and steal. So just looking for good stuff, basically, if I'm thinking as a professional. If I'm thinking as a teacher, then I would tell you that although he's very successful with what he's doing, I think most people who follow this path, who use these specific vocal coordinations that he's using, especially like the Knödel-based approach and such, will have a tough row to hoe compared to someone who's learned to use a metallic vocal coordination, especially fuller density metallic vocal coordinations, and who has learned to articulate their text without letting go of those coordinations. So yeah, there's a chance, I think, that you can learn to do things like what Kaufman does and be really good at it and be really successful. But then if I were teaching someone how to sing, I would tell them, well, one, you need to find somebody else to teach you that, because I don't teach it. And two, just try to be conscious of what it is that you'll have to be. This is some considerations that you'll have to be taking into account. Like you better be really healthy, because this is going to be tougher to do when you're sick, for instance. You'll be more subject to inflammation. And when you have inflammation, it's going to affect you more if you're singing this way than if you're using metallic coordinations. But on the other hand, plenty of people are doing things that are more vulnerable than what he's doing. So if you're singing with a lot of like reduced density stuff, with less pressure, and if you're a soprano, that might be actually, you might be more worried about vocal health than what he would be. I don't know, and I don't know how reliable he is. I don't know, not as in I'm questioning it, as in I have no idea. Yeah, Brady, it's cool. I know it was, you didn't mean to type the same thing twice. So yeah, figured you weren't having the exactly same thoughts twice in a row. So anyway, but the reason Kaufman's here is it's not really for me to say if I like him or don't like him. Let's try to see what we can learn about this score. Maybe look at these examples. I wish I had a soprano here on the show. Let's maybe say something about these soprano sections. Oof. This is a very, very difficult section, I think. Let's take a look at how this is written, and we'll see what I mean. It's kind of brutal. And you guys, let me know if you can see the score all that well. Let's see. Okay. This phrase. And we're in this key with a million flats. Yeah, we've got this G flat key. Anyway. So this is brutal for a tenor because we're not, it's not like we're starting on a G and then singing this downward phrase. We're starting on a D, D4, and our text is big. Our text is huge. Tuoni la guerra e sin abissi il mondo. We're talking about war is thundering, and the world is swallowed up into an abyss, kind of thing. L'abisso is, the abyss. It's the abyss. This is big text, right? And look at the pitches he gives you. But you're a tenor. This is brutal. It's too low, right? Which is why he doesn't put fortissimo. It's almost like, okay, I'll give you forte. But there's no difference between forte and fortissimo. Not in this case. In this, it's sing as loud as you can. And every tenor hates this part, I think. Probably. Well, I don't know. I haven't talked to every tenor, but probably every tenor who's ever sung this hates this section, this particular phrase. And they try to sing it as well as they can. They try to give a little bit more. And if you miss, it costs you so much. So let's see what happens.
Tuoni la guerra e sin abissi il mondo.
He does it really well. Okay. I mean, that was great. Yeah. Kind of lame. How well he did that. So, I mean, for all of you Kaufman haters, okay, you're probably going to dismiss this because it's not high enough for you or something. But this is, if you actually sing this, you know that this is really hard, and then that what he did just there was good. But now it gets even harder because you gotta start it up again and make a difference. Now with a dolce, starting in the same range. And we're going to go up to that G that we wanted in the first place. Okay, that's a very strange interpretation of dolce. Let's keep going a bit and let's... That's the Kaufman thing, I think. That's what he's known for. Okay. So, very interesting vocal coordination here. This is Tony Linka was talking about this K3, Knurdle number 3. It's very lowered larynx, kind of dopey coordination. And that sounds like what he's using here as dolce. And again, I would tell you, if you were my student, that's questionable. like overdrive based thing, I think. And then he does this cool decrescendo, which is that signature Kaufman decrescendo, which Verdi writes this way. As in, Verdi did not put that there, and it makes no sense. What we've got is a crescendo, and then all the way to crescendo, 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 and then suddenly it's pianissimo. And what he does is tell us in advance that we're going to get to pianissimo. But I guess mostly what he does is tell us that we're listening to Jonas Kaufman. So I guess interesting. Tuoni la guerra e sin abissi il mondo. That's hard. And it to me just doesn't feel like the text, no matter what I do. It does at the beginning, and I guess maybe it's like reverse word painting, you know? Like he's talking about the world being sucked in and stuff, and it's more like the feeling that you would have when that's happening, which is actually of being really small and buried and suffocated. Which then, if you think about the sound Kaufman picks, this isn't too crazy. What was the key again? Tuoni la guerra e sin abissi il mondo. I'd say one thing that helps a lot is to remember that a longer vocal tract has more inertance. Is inertance the word? Anyway, that it's harder to push through a longer vocal tract. It pushes back more. So that if you're trying to get a little bit more sound in areas that don't grip well, like this part of a tenor's range usually, it can help to like push your lips out. Sed opolirai men savien questi mens amor. I would do something like that. Or try to keep the crescendo all the way to the end of your note, and then you can take a breath if you want, or you can pull this stunt of trying to just do the whole next phrase without taking a breath, so that suddenly you drop into a pianissimo. And if you want to do it that way, then using metallic vocal coordination is probably pretty crucial. Because if you're using a metallic vocal coordination, you're going to save a lot of air in the phrase that comes before. So start the crescendo early, get metal into the sound, and then you have plenty for a, doing stuff afterwards. Yeah, Brady. No, I get what you mean, but actually, in this section of text, that's not happening yet. He's describing the moment without her, when everything is going wrong. But or maybe not. You know. No, you're right. No, I take your point's taken. Yes, I'll go with your point. Actually, yes, and that's actually yes. I should do like a do the chimes for the truth chimes, because yeah, no, absolutely. Good call, Brady. So I don't know. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to go on in this performance, or let's compare just how tenors handle this first section. So let's go back. Let's take the score away for a second, and let's hear Placido Domingo. Oh, Verushko, it was okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I was going to say that was I was experiencing that feeling when I was singing it with my girlfriend the other day. Yeah. But that's you. So, anyway. Welcome, Veronica Lesniewska. I'm not sure how I pronounce that. Welcome to Mr. Opera. Okay. So actually quite different approach from Domingo here. To my ear, he's already using a metallic sound. Let's check the mouth positions. Let's look at the mouth positions. I'm thinking they're going to be bigger. Let's compare. Yeah, I think he's basing this on the kind of overdrive approach. The more tucked chin kind of approach, where you want to be getting area of interest number 5 deeper if you can, or at least equal to the expansion of area of interest number 2. If you aren't familiar with what those are, then take a look at my videos on visualizing vocal acoustics, or if enough people want a review of these areas of interest, that kind of helps to know what I'm talking about. But for this more overdrive-based approach, you want this to be more expanded in area of interest number 5, which is going to be 2/3 of the way from wherever your larynx is to wherever the end of your mouth is. So when you move your larynx, or you move your neck, or you move your lips, the middle of this area moves, right? But in any case, it's always going to be behind the opening of your mouth. And in this overdrive kind of, well, I think it is, approach, you can have some curbing and neutral, of course, but based on the shall we say, the blueprint for when you're calling across the room to someone, hey, you! Già nella notte densa. It seems a bit when you really go deep into it, that they're related that way. So Michael Houston or Houston, I'm not sure. You have to let me know how I'm supposed to pronounce that. Welcome. I don't know about tenors nowadays. We're looking at one here was Jonas Kaufmann, and like I was saying, like I don't recommend as a teacher the approach that he's using. But also a tenor today would be like I don't know, Martin Müller. I don't know if you know Martin Müller, but that's a tenor today, and I don't know how much more squealo you're looking for, or if you, I mean, he completely understands how to use the chest register, and he's not the only one. So what I would suggest is like listen to these guys and talk about them, because definitely, yeah, there's people that know how to use it. I don't know that it's helpful to say chest register. That's the problem. You're talking about chest register, but I think this terminology is subjective and unhelpful. Whereas if you said something objective, like, for instance, the fourth example that we're going to be listening to is Franco Corelli, and he's singing everything basically with a metallic sound. And the first example we listened to, Jonas Kaufmann, had a little bit of metal in some of it, but mostly was without metal in the sound. And that's objective. And someone could make an argument that he is using chest or whatever, but it's hard to make an argument that what Kaufmann is doing in that first example is the same as what Corelli's going to be doing in the fourth example, or even the same as what Domingo's doing in this example. Because to do that, you have to say metal, either like metal doesn't exist, or somehow make a case that Kaufmann has metal in his sound, or that Corelli doesn't, or that Domingo doesn't have metal in his sound here. I could understand saying that Domingo has reduced metal in the sound here. But yes, so I mean, I agree with you that a lot of the fashions have changed, where like in Corelli's time, you had to have this metallic sound. People were looking for that, and now, I'm not sure it's actually audiences, but like directors and stuff want this non-metallic sound, and I'm not a big fan. And I think the reason we're not able to change anything about it is because people insist on not having words that actually mean anything. So how are you able to ask for, what I don't know, you're calling it using the chest or whatever, but those words don't mean anything specific that you can say, that you can prove happened or didn't happen. So how are you able to ask for what you want? So I don't know. I agree with you, but we need rigor, not just saying whatever we want to say. So yes, the Kaufmann that we heard in the first part is definitely not like the Corelli that we're going to have in the fourth example. But the words you're using, for instance, like Kaufmann was faking his sound. I mean, if that's the level of it, like intellectual whatever that we're bringing to it, I mean, what are we expecting? Who's gonna take us seriously if we're saying that this one sound, we like this one sound and we don't like this other sound, so we call this one sound fake and we call this other sound, that's dumb. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but it's not really an adult way to talk about anything, calling this one fake and this one So, like, obviously, there's no such thing as a fake sound that you're making in a voice. I mean, it's still a sound. It's not fake, you know. To me, it's so hilarious that I have this.
It's a fake.
Just for people who say the fake thing, because it's predictable that someone's going to say it's a fake. So you have a really good point. It's something important to ask for, but why don't we ask for it in a way that's not fake? In a way that actually means something, right? So what is this metallic sound and where does it come from is a really important thing. And then there's not only the metal in the sound, there's also the question of how long are you making... I'm going to make myself bigger here. So there's the question of how long are you making the vocal folds in order to get the pitch that you're trying to get. They're teaching in all the universities and stuff that the only way to raise the pitch is to stretch the vocal folds. And they talk about like tilting the thyroid cartilage, and that's okay. That's how you do that. But the problem is that Corelli, for instance, is raising the pitch not by stretching his vocal folds, but by resisting the stretch of the vocal folds. He's keeping them short and fat as possible. So people go to universities to learn how to do this, and they come out sounding like I did when I came out of the Metropolitan Opera, you know, Già nella notte, you know, they take the metal out of the sound, or if they let you use metal in the sound, then they force you to stretch out the vocal folds more because they're telling you that you have to relax and release everything and make it light. And they actually also tell you that eventually, if you keep doing this, your voice is going to get stronger and bigger. But what actually happens in real life is that the more you practice light singing, the better you get at light singing. And that if you wanted to get good at heavier singing, what you have to do is start practicing heavier singing, as like now, yesterday. And we have students who want to do that. They're showing up at school. They should be given this, like right away. They should be given Wagner right away, along with all the other stuff, but they need this in the mix, and they should be trying to solve the problem of how to do this, like from the beginning, because there's no time to waste. So, but they leave school, and they've been told for 4 years now to wait. So the only thing they learn how to do is wait. Anyway, so yeah, Michael, I get you, you know, it would be nice, but the thing is that in the past, they did some cool things, but they also did all the things that resulted in the way things are today. So obviously they made some mistakes, didn't they? If they didn't make mistakes, then why are we here? We inherited the past. We inherited what people in the past did. And we inherited shit. It's a mess, right? Because even though the past had like Renata Tebaldi, and the past had all these great people, when it came to passing on something to the next generation, none of these great people did their job or did that job. None of these great people passed on what they knew to the next generation as far as like actually getting anything done. What they did is they shaved a little bit off of the profits from the next generation. They think of the next generation as their retirement, or they think of the next generation as a side gig, or they feel like they're entitled to getting paid by the next generation to bullshit about singing because they went to university or went to a bunch of teachers and paid a bunch of money to hear someone bullshit about teaching, even though that had nothing to do with how they actually learned how to sing. Okay. So everyone has this feeling like the next generation owes us a living or something like that. And that's how the old school treated us, and unfortunately it doesn't work. Like they didn't pass on any good thoughts. They passed on some great recordings, but unfortunately their thoughts lead to the result you don't want. Their thoughts lead to Jonas Kaufman. So yeah, anyway, yeah, okay, so we can talk about mouth positions for sure. But I'm not sure why you're recommending the triangle shape at this point. So I'm not sure. You'd have to be a little bit more clear. If you've got a lot to say, you can zoom in, and because what I really recommend is put the camera on and show us. But if you write comments that are, really clear about what you mean, then I can interpret it. But let's just watch. Let's watch a bit more. We got Domingo here. It's not half bad, but what's important is watching 4 examples of the same phrase, I think, and seeing that different actions make different results. That's all. It's kind of missing today. Literally, I was told as a student that my sound would just be the result of some kind of genetics or some kind of weird nebulous Fach concept, which is it's kind of like these old racial theories or something, really weird pseudo-scientific Fach concepts. But anyway, that if I just applied the same wisdom, that my like special innate natural sound would come out. I wouldn't be faking my sound anymore. So essentially, they were training me to believe I don't have control over how I sound, and it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And that's why they love pseudoscience, because they're bullshitters. But yeah. Let's not get me too off track. Let's hear some of this. I think what we've got, especially here, if you watched, I think it was yesterday's live stream. Was it yesterday? Recently, I was looking at Lauritz Melchior. I don't think it was yesterday. And we noticed the speed of the jaw opening and how snappy and quick it is. And one thing I would, not one thing, but what I invite you to observe is that almost everyone is taking everyone is taking a similar amount of time to transition from a consonant to a vowel. Ja, right? So from j to a, you have a certain amount of time. It's the same basically for everybody. Therefore, how big your mouth opening is at the end of that is decided by how fast you opened your mouth. Right? Because you're going to start the sound at the same time, no matter what. And it's going to take, let's say, 2 units of time. So if you just move faster, and then you look at what shape you had, it's bigger. And I think that's a good way to get these slightly larger mouth openings without getting stuck with what people tend to call jaw tension. Shall we say unintentional jaw tension? Yeah, let's take a look at this, because I think he does this phrase well.
Questo
would say this is curbing. I think curbing. I think it's reduced density. But there's metal in the sound, and this is Placido Domingo. Franco Corelli is gonna use. I'm gonna predict much larger mouth openings, but not. It's not. We're not in big mouth opening territory because the pitch is lower. So what mouth opening you actually use is gonna be determined by what pitch you're singing. Well, I'm not exactly sure why or how that works, but I have noticed that it can help a lot to reduce the mouth opening a little bit when in a lower register. So, there we go. Let's hear the next phrase. So he kind of goes to the end sound. Tuoni la guerra e sin abissi il mondo. He doesn't like it down there either, and he kind of avoids it by going quickly to the end sound. Just interesting. And he does this decrescendo as well. I don't like the decrescendo. With this same coordination, and he limits the mouth opening, was interesting. He doesn't get to a very, very, very powerful sound. Well, I don't know. It works. I mean, I conceive a bit different. I don't feel like it's one thought in this way. I feel like it's a big crescendo to nowhere, and then suddenly interrupted by pianissimo. Anyway. Hey, Joey Pie, and welcome. No, I get you that it makes sense. And also there's not so much in the orchestra. Yeah. So that's all makes sense, and it totally works. So next we've got Roberto Alagna, and I didn't pre-listen to this, so let's pre-listen to the next one a bunch of times. Looks like Anna Netrebko. Oh, it is Anna Netrebko, I think. All right. That's such beautiful music, but I'm gonna get copyright.
Già nella notte densa s'estingue ogni clamor. Già il mio cuore freme conto, s'ammansa in questo amplesso e
Okay, really interesting. I'll give you my thoughts in a second. But I'm going to leave you hanging with this. Poor sad cat. Yeah. Okay. So, my least favorite so far, I have to say, by far. In this case, I think, well, we have to say at the outset that it's a good example of nasality in classical singing. And we could call it sneaky nasality or whatever you want. Or articulatory nasality. When I don't have a term for it. I'm looking for a term. A term for when you're using a nasal vocal coordination, an open velum. Well, people say the soft palate, but actually the soft palate has this levator and tensor veli palatini muscles. And as far as I know, the levator is the one that is lifting. Sure sounds like it from the name, the soft palate. But it's this tensor veli palatini that is sealing it against the pharyngobasilar fascia. Now, the pharyngobasilar fascia is okay. If you were with me a few days ago, I was talking about the spine of the voice. The spine of the voice is not actually your spinal cord. It relates to your spinal cord, though. It's something called the pharyngeal raphe, and actually, wait. I think I've got. Okay, 1 second. 1 second here. Oof. No, okay, it's not going to work. I'm trying to get titles to come up so that I can easily take notes. Anyway, the pharyngeal raphe runs down the back of your vocal tract. Should we say along the pharynx? It divides the pharynx in half, running right along your spine. So if you think about your pharynx, kind of could be opened up like this, and if you put it back together, there would be a seam, and that's the pharyngeal raphe. And the pharyngeal raphe is a kind of special structure because it's not muscle, it's not tendon, but it's not bone or cartilage, but it kind of plays a similar role. A lot of these muscles that help make the specific shape in the vocal tract, and even some muscles that help to pull the tongue back, insert into this pharyngeal raphe. When we were looking at it the other day, it was cool because we found out that there's a very, very similar structure in the front of your body, right between your abs. So if you look at someone who's got abs, the line between them in the middle is actually really, 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 really similar. What was it called? Oh, something line. Anyway. And at its base is this pyramidalis muscle that someone asked me to look up from the someone from the channel asked me to look up this pyramidalis muscle. So this pharyngeal raphe, the spine of the voice, you could think of it as having a skull. The voice has a skull, like the head of the voice, and the head of the voice is this pharyngeal basilar fascia. It's at the top of the pharyngeal raphe, and it acts as a kind of hard, semi-hard area that other things can interact with at the top of the vocal tract, especially the soft palate, the velum. And when you open this area, you introduce anti-resonance into the vocal tract. So people think of the sound coming out the nose, but actually what's going on is mostly the sound is still coming out of your mouth, but you're draining off some of that resonance by introducing what's called Helmholtz resonance. Now, Helmholtz resonance is the same as like a wine glass. If you rub a wine glass and you get it to sing, that's Helmholtz resonance. And the way you calculate the frequency of the wine glass is with these calculations for Helmholtz resonators. Helmholtz resonators are also used in sound engineering to reduce the reflections from some particular frequency. You can use it to suck away particular frequencies from a room. It's anti-resonance. So when you open the nose, it lowers the sound pressure level of certain peaks or of formants in the voice. And it winds up making the voice a whole lot more manageable. You lose a lot of power, but the voice is a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to articulate. So let's see how much of it I can actually do. Though, let's see. And I think also along with the nasal, the open velum, he does have some metal in the sound. So maybe something like edge, reduced density edge, or something like that. Or maybe just neutral, an edge like neutral, without metal in the sound. So, and I'll check these. Joey Pie. No, okay, so Joey Pie, there's a big difference between calling the sound nasal, which is subjective, and saying that he's using an open velum, which is objectively nasal. So I'm not sure which one you mean. Is the sound nasal, like this kind of sound? Well, this kind of sound is nasal, but this kind of sound involves a lot more than just opening the velum. I have to do a lot of things to get this sound that aren't just opening the velum. Also, nasal sound would be like hang on. What are those words to the song? Wait, I'm thinking of a song and then I'm gonna sing it. And I'll use some nasality. Hang on. I'm just gonna look up these lyrics. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. They say that the road ain't no place to start a family. Okay. Was that nasal? If you took away my ability to use nasality, that phrase would be really difficult. The way that I sing that depends on nasality. Absolutely. To me. I'm really specific about what I do with nasality to get that phrase. It makes the articulation manageable in the same way that as what Roberto Alagna is doing here. Right? But that's not the same as saying, when I say that I'm using nasality, that's not saying that I'm going, they say that the road ain't no place to start a family. Right? There's a lot more involved than just opening the velum to do that. Everyone would say that's nasal. Everyone, yeah. See, but that's not, that's subjective nasal. So I hope I don't want to step on any toes here. This is, to me, what I hear in the vocal coordination is an open velum. So that if you wanted to copy this, you would have to start with opening your velum. If you don't have the velum open, I don't think you're going to find this vocal coordination. Yeah. And the open velum, I think, is quite common in classical tenors. Especially what they call like Italian tenors. Half of them are like every other vowel is nasal. So, but again, I don't mean this comical caricature of nasal. It's like knördel, Kaufman has the knördel, but it's not comical. It's not a caricature. It's not Kermit the Frog, Yeah, unfortunately, someone is abusing terms and using them to put people down or whatever. So that breaks the terms. It ruins the terms. But what else are we supposed to call things? So if I'm not, what am I supposed to call this other than nasal? The velum is open. What do you want? Anyway. Oops. Yeah. If I denasalize that, it sounds when the velum is totally closed, it sounds like you have a cold. Easy test. If you can make the letter N without changing anything, your velum is open. Another easy test, if you're in the middle of a phrase and you're singing anything except for the quietest sound possible, and you do this with your nose, like open it, close it really quick. If your velum is open, you're going to hear a change in resonance, because every time you close that, you're going to be shutting down that Helmholtz resonator. So then you're nasal, objectively. Yeah. So chiaroscuro is pretty subjective. I would say that, he's got the nose open, and that reduces like all of it reduces everything. So whatever it is, there's less of it by doing that. It's reduced density. And I guess it's like reduced density. It's like twangy neutral, I think. Let's see if we can get it. Già nella notte densa, so I don't know, something like that. I would say he Yeah, I would say the sound is actually not metallic. Sa notte densa sa. Interesting kind of thing. Yeah. Se extingue, gue. I think edge, gue, with this probably this high larynx kind of thing. High larynx, open velum slightly, edge. I think there's metal in there. I think he lowers his lower larynx for that E sound, or it would wind up being weird, I think. No, I think it's still high. I think most of this is high larynx, actually. And then the metal, I think the darkness is coming mostly from tongue retraction to make area of interest number 4 narrow, and then that takes the brightness out of it. Oh, let's hear. I wasn't listening. I was listening more to the. Yeah, sliding up, so implying a bit more density, trying to get a bit more density, but not down. And that to me, it's a big difference to be sliding. Let's bring up the score maybe. Yeah, to me, it's a big difference to be sliding up versus down. Get this out of here. Oh, I know. I don't think he has too much density, and I think no. These upward slides makes, to me, they sound good. They make sense. That's why I didn't comment on them. But they sound organic, natural. Dare I say, or natural?
It's a fake.
But then there's a case for calling that natural, though. Actually, or maybe natural is not the word, but it's functional. So there's when you're singing with a bit more density, you're keeping the vocal folds shorter, and your formula is a bit different for how you get the pitch. You know, you're gonna have to adjust the pressure after you've already started resisting the stretch to get to, it's a more complicated procedure to arrive at the pitch. And that's why you hear, and that's why like these fuller density classical singers started to develop these mannerisms where they would, even if they were hitting the same note 3 times, you know, like repeated a note repeated 3 times would get 3 slides up even though they're already on the pitch. And it's because you're changing the vowel now, or you're doing another onset, and it's much easier to start a little bit below and then you adjust, right? But that's not true when you're singing with reduced density. That stops being true. And when that's not true anymore, that it's actually easier to do the slide, but you're still doing the slide, now it sounds fake, because it's like, why are you doing the slide? That doesn't make it easier for you. It's like you're being manipulative.
It's a fake.
You know? But these don't seem manipulative to me. These seem like just like they come from his coordination that he's using. They just arise naturally from the way that he's approaching making the sound. Let's hear it a little bit more.
Al mio cor fremeboldo s'ammansa in questo
Now that didn't have metal in it. Samansa. That's just I'm on the wrong page. Sorry. Oh. So here, and that to me kind of makes it splat. Whoops. So we're gonna be watching this note. And I mean this is a concert. I mean these things are rough. So don't get any ideas. I'm not judging anyone harshly here. I mean, Anyway, we could do some of mine at some point. There's some really terrible stuff. No, Joey, I think classical audience that likes Verdi and stuff is gonna. I don't know which classical audience you mean. If you mean me, I like the slides. I've always liked the slides, and I like these old recordings, and they do more slides on the old recordings. And also, they have fuller density. They tend to have fuller density and more metal in the older recordings. So, yeah. It's interesting. They, along with encouraging everyone to sing with less density, then the universities also taught everyone they're not allowed to slide anymore. So I guess they go hand in hand, you know. And then the universities give them something to do, give themselves something to do. They're gonna clean up all of our slides. Yeah. So anyway, but let's hear this. Here we go. Yeah, linear pressing. Something like that. Some kind of when I say linear pressing, I mean there's no metal in the sound, but you have pressing. And there's nothing. There's no feedback loop, so that the sound is feeding on itself, and you have this sound. It sounds like we just call it linear pressing in my nerd group. I don't know what else to call it for you, but it's this sound. This kind of, I guess people typically call this pressing. But I don't, because I also consider fuller density edge to be pressing, and overdrive is even more pressing than that. And then oddly, curbing, which isn't as loud as overdrive and edge, can have even more pressing, can have like the most pressing of all. So yeah, I think pressing is totally separate from whether or not it's linear, and it stands out to people, so they call this pressing. Or they could say that it's not chest or something.
Dovrebbe un cantante servirsi della voce di petto? No.
Yeah. Yeah, let's not worry about him sounding flat. It's a concert. he probably can't even hear himself that well. I'm not saying that he's always in tune otherwise, but this is brutal trying to tune in these kinds of situations. I'm annoyed that we can't see his face up close. You can't see that because I have the score, but there's no point looking at it. Anyway, it's just like shots of the audience from a drone or something. That's all I want to look at from this one. Because let's get to the main event. Come on, you all know. You all know what I really wanted to play here is, oops, Franco and Lahati. I mean, Renata. La Renata. I think this is Tokyo. Is that what it said? Or something like that. I don't know where they are. But they're having a good time, and they're not taking this extremely seriously. And yet still, it's really awesome. So, let's take away the score for a second and get a good view of Franco. Oh, good job, guys. Oh, you can't get it through, because I'll get nailed. Oh, that's a bigger size. Bigger mouth size. Should I? I'll let. Okay. I'll let the phrases play. Had to turn it down. Okay. Totally different ball game now from the previous three. Now, I would say that the mode of articulation is completely different. The way words are formed and the way vowels are like all of the concepts are kind of different from what we heard so far, but a little more related to what Domingo was doing, but I don't think related to what Alanya was doing. And I mean, the sound couldn't be more different. And this is not with an open velum. This is a closed velum. He could have a cold, and the only way you'd know is from these N sounds or M sounds or something like that. You would never know otherwise if he had a cold, because he's not using his nose at all. It's completely closed the whole time. Some differences. Some things that are like Franco specials, I guess, and it's one way that I think you can see differences between different singers going for the same coordination, is that how you make a particular vowel and a particular pitch, whatever. Let's say we're all doing the same thing. We're all going to need about the same length vocal tract. And it could be that some of us are going to wind up needing to shorten a lot in order to make it that length, either from one end or the other. Or we're going to have to lower the larynx and then retract the neck a lot or something. Franco often had to pull his lips really, really, really back over his teeth. And then another cool thing to just be noticing often otherwise about Franco Corelli is that he often just like refuses to lift his hyoid bone up to his palate, and so you're gonna get a lot of these vowels that kind of like this, because he's letting his tongue. He's giving his tongue like as much room as he can give it without disturbing the position of the hyoid bone, and it can get kind of close to where it needs to touch to make like S, right? But not quite. So you have this kind of S sometimes, and this kind of like these sounds with where the tongue is pulled back a little bit far when it hits the roof of the mouth. And it's basically that he's trading it off. He's saying like, well, you know, I could take this consonant or you can have this vowel. What's it going to be? And if the answer is vowel, you have Franco Corelli. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I could be. He didn't do it as much when he was younger. He's doing it now. Could be also when he was younger, he was more flexible or something. I don't know. And also the lips thing, I think, got more pronounced as he got older. So, yeah. And it does make him also sound like it's a little bit like, you know, if I was doing like an old man impersonation where I don't have any teeth, you know, I'd be doing like some of the mannerisms that he has. So it's like he got older, and then he also did some old mannerisms in his diction, but still, it's Franco Corelli. So don't say what, just watch your tongue. Don't you say anything bad about Franco on my channel, or you'll. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. This is water, by the way. I always fast forwarded to the wrong place. Okay. Like on every note. This little slide up. Every note, almost. There we have it.